Be isolated, be ignored, be attacked, be in doubt, perhaps even be frightened, but under no circumstances allow yourself to be silenced. Bertrand Russell. This should be the mantra for anyone who wants to live a thought-based life and get away from the winds of emotion that blow about everything we see online these days. This video is going to show some incredible examples that people miss in everyday lives of people being shifted directly out of their thinking brains and into their emotions without even realizing it. Now, thank you guys for being here. I very much appreciate it. Took a couple of days off. A lot of work, a lot of things to do around the house, but we're going to get right back into it. Rational versus emotional behavior. A lot of people don't like to hear this because emotions come with all sorts of chemicals in the brain, dopamine and serotonin, and when you take that away from people, they go into withdrawal and they want to find something that's based in thought that they can react emotionally to and then start a chain reaction with others. How many of you have seen that online where somebody posts something that's just an interesting thought and within a week down in the comment section you've got people calling each other names? It's an incredible thing to see. Now, over at the Florida Monkey Patreon channel, we've spent the last 3 to 4 years breaking this down into all the little building blocks of how this works. There are 24 cognitive biases and 24 logical fallacies that affect every single human being on the planet. They teach this in military psychological operations school. Why do I talk about it? That was my job in the military many years ago. I was an Army interrogator. And they teach you how the human mind works so that you, when you want to break somebody down and remove their defenses, it's just as simple as removing block by block by block. If you'd like to get read in on that, love to have you over at the Florida Monkey Patreon channel. 4 levels, 5, 10, 15, and 20. We've got videos for everyone going all the way back, really more than 4 years. Almost really 6 or 7 now. Tons and tons of content. Fully refundable, first 90 days, no questions asked. Love to have you over there. Let's get right to it, though. Let's get right to it. I'm sure many of you in my audience have heard this quote. Give them bread and circuses, and they will never revolt. It's a 2,000 or more, actually more than year old quote. A man named Juvenal. But the quote goes on beyond that. And it says the evil was not in the bread and circuses, per se, but in the willingness of the people to sell their rights as free men for full bellies and the excitement of the games, now that football season has started, I think this is very apropos, which would serve to distract them from the other human hungers which bread and circuses can never appease. Marcus Tullius Cicero wrote, I do not imply that bread and circuses are evil things in themselves. Man needs material sustenance. He needs recreation. These needs are so basic that they come within the purview of every religion. But plays, farces, spectacles, gladiators, beasts, medals, pictures, and other such mental opiates, these were for ancient peoples the bait towards slavery, the price of their liberty, and the instruments of tyranny. That's what's going on now. And to put it into real world terms for most people to understand, here's an example of 4 female bartenders. Now, no matter how good a bartender they are or are not that night, they are going to earn more in tips versus their male counterparts, regardless of how good their male counterpart might be. Ask any woman who's ever been a bartender in a situation where they were going to take all the tips that were made at the bar that night, throw them into one kitty, and then split it up amongst however many bartenders were there. The women are like, okay, as long as we have, a bunch of other good-looking women, that's fine. But you add one guy in there, and they're going to feel like, they're getting screwed, or he's going to make a bunch of money off them. Now, he could be, sorry about that, the very best bartender in the whole state. He could know every mixed drink by heart. He could never have you less than a quarter of a beer without a brand new one right there for you. Best conversationalist, and he's going to earn half, maybe less, of what these women earn. Why? Because from the first moment you drink a drop of alcohol, you no longer have the ability to use rational thought to make a decision. You don't. Because even if any one of these girls was just as good as the guy on the other screen, you're going to tip the girls more. Here's another great example of thought versus emotion. Many of you have heard here in Florida, the governor and the Surgeon General have come out and said, we're going to eliminate all child vaccine mandates in the state. Now, I blame this on people not understanding how the English language works. Okay, Florida is the subject of the sentence. Eliminate is the verb. What is being eliminated? Vaccines? No. What's being eliminated is mandates. Mandates is the object of the sentence. Florida to eliminate mandates. Child vaccine, these are just modifiers of the word mandate. Adjectives. If it said Florida to quickly eliminate all child vaccine mandates, quickly would be an adverb modifying the verb of eliminate. In the state is just a preposition. Where is this going to happen? But what does everybody hear? Oh, Florida, nobody's going to be vaccinated in Florida against anything ever again. Is that what was said? No, it's not what was said, but it's what the president believes was said. Breaking, President Trump pushes back on Florida removing all vaccine mandates, including for school children. He said some vaccines are a must. If their parents think so, they can. They can go double vax, triple boost their kids all day long if they want to. Nobody's banning vaccines in Florida. And if your kid is vaccinated and 100 other kids aren't vaccinated, your kid is going to be fine. That's the entire the entire supposition behind using vaccines. Ask Doctors Without Borders. They go into areas where there are rampant diseases where nobody's vaccinated, but because they're all vaccinated, all the doctors are, they're fearless into walking into giant, huge throngs of people who are sick with God knows whatever. That's how vaccines work. It makes you immune. One other person can be sick, 10 other people could be sick. It wouldn't matter. But so why do people believe? Why do people believe that Florida is getting rid of vaccines? Because they're emotional. And when you add in this, it doesn't help matters. Donald Trump has met with Bill Gates twice in his first year talking about this. Another great example of thought versus emotion. The boat that was destroyed with a U.S. military, I don't know, I think it was a Navy missile, could be Air Force, I don't know who fired the missile, but the military engaged this boat in the middle of the Caribbean Sea that had allegedly 11 people and drugs on it. It was in international waters. Nobody for sure knew what was on the boat, but they lit it up with a missile and killed everybody on board. If Obama had done this, if Bush had done this and then bragged about it and put the video of it up online or on the nightly news, there would be calls for impeachment from both the right and the left if Obama or Bush had done this. But is there? No. Absolutely not. Why? Because it looks like, remember the good old days of Norman Schwarzkopf? Back during the first Gulf War back in 1990 when you could tune into CNN at night and you would see the smart bombs destroying the bridges and the buildings and all that kind of stuff. Very emotional video game-like moment for people who were just assumed to be criminals. They might not have even been Venezuelan. You'd have nobody has any idea who was on this boat or what was on this boat because it was obliterated. Yet another great example. I used this as a thumbnail. Let's assume this woman is being followed by a guy wearing dark clothing at night and she's by herself. I asked the question, how close does he have to get before she should pull out her weapon and flag the guy and say, hey, keep your distance? What distance? 8 feet? 20 feet? 3 feet? How far away? He could very well have malintent toward her. But do we react emotionally? There'd be a lot of people say, well, yeah, about 25 feet away, she should empty the entire magazine into him. She'd draw down center mass and just, as many rounds as she's got in that weapon, just put it dead center. And, he's not going to live through to tell the tale. And by the time the police show up, they'll see one big guy and he'll be laying there in a pool of his own fluids. And one scared girl. So nothing's going to happen to her. So just blast away. Is that the right way to handle this? Well, there's an emotion-based way to handle this and a thought-based way to handle this. We'll cover that over at Patreon. It gets even better. It gets even better. President Trump says it's insulting to say 600,000 Chinese students shouldn't come to America. And that if we kicked them out, the U.S. university system couldn't exist without the Chinese, basically. And he tried to double down and explain this comment about the 600,000 Chinese people that are being invited to this country, all basically spies for their government, as a continuation, the next 2 years, 300,000 per year, of a Biden-era policy. And while you're distracted with your bread and circuses, your water, electricity, and phone bills, starting on the first of the year, are all going to be sent to the IRS every month. I thought we were abolishing the Internal Revenue Service. I thought we were getting rid of the income tax. See, but now that you're watching football, and Donald Trump has enjoyed this boost in approval rating based on things he said 2 months ago about obliterating the IRS or all this other stuff, now he can tell the truth. And here's where we probably are going to have to begin to end this video, so to speak, because multiculturalism actually works. Florida Monkey, I can't believe you just said that. It is clear beyond the shadow of a doubt that multiculturalism does not work. It does. In fact, multiculturalism is what led to the greatest nation that's ever been. We're not that nation anymore, but we used to be. A leaked Chinese geopolitical strategy document reveals China's self-confidence. The document predicts the U.S. and Western Europe will collapse due to cultural and demographic conflict. China's leaders increasingly see multiculturalism as cultural suicide and believes the West is dying because of it. You see, we had a multicultural society here in America for a long time. Multiculturalism isn't the problem. What are you looking at? Who are these 8 couples? Well, we had French culture, Scottish culture, Spanish culture, English culture, Italian culture, German culture, Swedish culture, Danish culture, Irish culture, Portuguese. Hell, all of Brazil speaks Portuguese because of Portugal and their exploration. Portuguese culture? How many more nations? Finnish? Norwegian? All lived side by side in this country. All different cultures came here. From the 1500s, the 1600s, the 1700s, even into the 1800s. But then we messed up. And we fell into a trap. And I can't really get much farther into it than this. Because we started to see ourselves as one thing versus another, as opposed to a whole bunch of different things and disparate things. Even into the early 1900s, if you had gone to New York, there was the Irish neighborhood, there was the Italian neighborhood, there was a German neighborhood. All very distinct cultures. I know what's being typed out there. That's all one culture. No, it's not. That was a trap that was ingrained in the brain, so to speak, by another group of people that have never been part of civilized life. And that's where have to shift over to Patreon. Because to tell the truth, multiculturalism works. There's a group of people out there, though, that are masquerading as having culture that don't have one at all. They're just destructive to culture. They're destructive to civilization. Multiculturalism is a wonderful thing. Ask the French, Spanish, Italians, English, Dutch, Irish, Scots, the Swedes, the Finns. Go right down the list. The Greeks. We're going to cover this over at Patreon. Brand new video. It's going to be available for all levels. And we're going to tell the truth. It's going to hurt some people's feelings, but that's what Patreon is for. Over there, we're just going to be rational about it. And not emotional, and just tell the truth. We'd love to have you over there. All of the different links will be down in the description box to take you to whatever level you need. And we're going to go over there and tell the truth. Multiculturalism works. We made it work in this country for hundreds of years. It's when you introduce the lack of culture and the lack of civilization into a civilized society. That's what causes it to fail. And we'll explain who's done this. I think a lot of you probably already have an idea. But join us if you'd like the breakdown. Love to have you over there. A lot of people think this is too simple. Folks, this is what's ruling the day right now. This nation, other nations. Online, everything is love this, like that, up thumb this, all this other nonsense. It's all about emotions and how you make people feel. Who was it that said, people will forget what you said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel? That's very, very true. But whatever you do, don't be silenced. Don't let people silence you. Because telling the truth, even if it makes your voice crack, do it anyway. So I'll leave it there. God bless. Pray for each other. Pray for me, I'll pray for you. Lift each other up, like, share, subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.